Good morning, everyone. Mr. Alok Mukherjee, Chairman, CII Eastern Region Innovation Task Force. Mr. S. Radhakrishnan, CII Eastern Region Innovation Task Force Co-Chairman. Mr. Sumit Chakrabarty, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just touch upon the essentials, ingredients of innovation, as I've done some work on this, and I'm not going to define innovation here or what a startup is, but I'll just tell you about my thoughts on the innovation scenario here and what exists in India today. West Bengal, I'm recent now, I just joined on 1st December, so I'll not be able to give a insight into the innovation scenario in West Bengal, but I'll try to cover it with some projects that we have already planned in the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, in the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion in my earlier stint, and now as the Principal Secretary of Information Technology and Electronics. Now, if you see the starting point that I'll take is the 2013 Science, Technology and Innovation Policy for the country as a whole. If you look at that policy, you'll see many ingredients of what a successful policy should be. So that inspired my curiosity to see, what are the missing links? Is everything okay, or is something missing? And what can we do? If we are able to identify the missing links, probably we can succeed in doing what we want to do. So if you see, it says the Science and Technology and Innovation Policy of 2013 talks about science, research and innovation system for high technology-led path for India. It is called SRISTI if you take the acronym. SRISTI has all the good features. So let me now enumerate some of the missing links so that we come to the point straight away, and I hope that my thoughts will spark some discussion here, and maybe from those discussions something concrete might come out. So I have identified, I think I have identified 11 of them, 11 missing links. One by one, I'll just quickly touch upon them. And then I will also enumerate some of the solutions that I think are valid and to cover these missing links. So what are those? The first is, any country which has to grow and to sustain economic growth and to increase the standard of living of its population and to improve health, you have to develop and innovate new products, new processes, new services, and you have to give access to the people to those new products, new services, and new processes. So anything which blocks technology transfer, we have to be mindful of that. What is it? We have to remove that. We have to address that. Anything which limits research, applicability of research at the industrial level should be identified. In India, what we see normally is that research is done for the sake of research. Kindly don't take these as sweeping generalizations. Overall, in many research areas, many good things are happening. But when I say missing links, I'm taking a macro picture and trying to address an issue that is prevailing in the system. Now, what is that issue? Research for the sake of research is not going to help much. Research for the sake of writing papers in journals has its own value. I'm not saying that is not important. Fundamental research is extremely important. But do we have research for the sake of industry? We have to ponder and think about it. Anything which limits the access to technology and active technology transfer from the lab to the market, that needs to be seen, whether that is happening or not. Do we have enough funds for taking an idea from a primary intervention level to a transferable level? Do we have that or not? Because you need funding for that. It's very conscious in a scarce resource economy. You have to find out which areas do I need to focus on. Do I need to take this primary intervention to a transferable level? How do I do that? And then institutional attitudes that limit research to just publishing in journals, I have already covered that. So any of these issues are limiting issues. So this is a missing link in our country. The second link that is missing is the absence of sound and progressive structural and institutional mechanisms. Innovation is not done one day by one person. You have to have an innovation ecosystem where people, with government, technology, university, academia, students, all benefit from each other. Where is that ecosystem? Do we have that ecosystem? What are the institutional mechanisms required? Have we built them over a period of time? To what extent have we built them? Is that enough for innovation? We need to ponder and ask these questions. Now, in the absence of these institutional mechanisms, what happens? Some things get published, professors do consultancy but not patenting. You know, if you see in the IITs and so on, and since I was there and I'm alumnus of IIT Delhi and IIT Kanpur, I have quite a few friends whom I know are involved in this exercise. And they tell me that mostly professors are involved in consultancy but not patenting. Is that a good sign? Should we not address it? What should be done to address that? There are two extraordinary organizations who are doing extraordinary work in this country. One of them is IIT Delhi, Foundation for Innovation and Technology Transfer, FITT, F-I-T-T. The other one is Center for Entrepreneurship Development and Incubation in Tiruchirappalli in Kerala, in the National Institute of Technology. These are examples. There are hundreds of them across the country who are doing good work. The point here is that these institutions also are not very well known. And they also have limitations in terms of institutional structural mechanisms. If we can give them that framework, probably these institutions can do much better work. So that is, I regard as a limitation. CII is doing excellent work in what is known as Global Innovation and Technology Alliance. We call it GITA. Now, but that area is a little bit different. That area talks about how government funding can lead to private R&D, how private R&D can flourish in certain select areas because of government funding. Very important in the ecosystem analysis, but a little different from what government intervention should be done to bring about innovation and innovation ecosystem. Because you see, unless you have an innovation ecosystem, you will not have any competitive advantage over a period of time. That competitive advantage, whatever you have, is likely to get eroded unless you innovate continuously. The other limitation is, I've covered 5 of them, 6th one. No, India does not have any mechanism by which you transfer technology from university to the industry. There's no mechanism. Efforts are being made. Good efforts are being made, successful efforts are being made, but is that enough to create an ecosystem in the country? We have to think about this. Is there a mechanism by which two-way transfer, the needs of the industry to the academia, and the research of the academia to the industry? Is there a way of doing it? How do we do that? How do we incentivize R&D? We know that much of the R&D does not happen only for the industry. Is there a way to incentivize that? How do we incentivize R&D for the sake of industry? Suppose we build a product. Let's say it has a noise level which is higher than what is required. Can we involve academia only to reduce that noise level in that product? That is research for the sake of industry. Are we doing that? Are we doing that enough? That is the issue to be asked and addressed. If you turn to the SME sector, in a frugal economy like India, where incremental innovation takes place, how does the SME get access to technology? SME may not have the financial horsepower to access technology right away. What are we doing to make technology accessible to SMEs? That is a very important area we need to think about. What about access to environment-friendly patents? Do we have a mechanism for doing that? A bad environment leads to bad outcomes for a number of people. Can we restore that? Can we address that by giving SMEs and technology and other industries access to environment-friendly patents? I don't think we have that mechanism. What about R&D? You see, some of the figures I am going to give you, a little bit dated, but the overall percentages remain the same. Global investments in science, technology, and innovation as of 2009, when I wrote this discussion paper in DIPP, was 1.2 trillion US dollars. India's R&D investment is less than 2.5% of this, and it is currently under 1% of GDP. Increasing gross expenditure in research and development, GERD, to 2% of the GDP has been a national goal for quite some time. We are yet to achieve the goal. So where are we on this? How do we increase the percentage of R&D spend as a fraction of GDP? What about the time to market for R&D products which are public funded? Public funded R&D products, maybe DRDO, maybe other places, maybe universities. Are we able to reduce the time to market required for that product to reach the market? So these are some of the limitations that are there in the system. Now, what is the way forward? Some of the suggestions that I made. I said, I believe that we should target innovation in a select number of areas, because the funds are limited. You will not be able to target a whole range of areas. So India has to decide, West Bengal as a state has to decide, in which areas I will become a leader in so many years. Can I become a leader in this area or not? If you believe that yes, I can become a leader in this area, then this is the time to start. You have to identify that area and fund that area for 5 years, 10 years, support that area. I'm not saying only financially, support through a variety of mechanisms. Now, what are those possible areas as far as Department of IT and Electronics is concerned? Let me limit myself to those areas. I've identified 9 technology areas where West Bengal can be a leader in IT and electronics. Number 1, big data analytics. We can be a leader. Number 2, reality experiences. Game-changing proposition for education, for health. We can be a leader. Number 3, artificial intelligence. We could be a leader. Number 4, Internet of Things. We could be a leader. Number 5, biotechnology. We could be a leader. Number 6, energy and energy efficiency and renewable energy. We could be a leader. Cyber security. We could definitely be a leader, because the R&D labs outside India and the US, they benefit from the R&D done in Calcutta. High-end computing, we could be a leader. And last but not the least, class 1 impossibility problems, where science has not said no, but technology hasn't reached the point where it can deliver. So these are some of the 9 technology areas which we think West Bengal can be a leader. And I have proposed that we should have an innovation city with an innovation center of excellence, which takes these 9 technology areas forward for West Bengal and make West Bengal a hub of leadership in these areas in the eastern region. So that is suggestion number 1. Suggestion number 2, if you look at Japan, how they innovated. Tokyo University produces the largest number of patents in the world, next only to the University of California system, which consists of many colleges. So one single institution, if you have to pick the largest number of patents in the world, it will be Tokyo University. Now, how have they done that? In 1998, they passed a law called the Technology License Organization Law, TLO law. And that TLO is a very simple entity. It does profound things, but the entity is simple. What it does is, it transfers technology, it serves as an interface between academia and industry. So the needs of the academia are, the results and the research of the academia is passed on to industry. The needs of the industry are passed on to the academia. And then that is how industry benefits, and that is how academia benefits. And so fundamental research goes on, but research for industry also goes on. TLO not only does this transfer, it is also involved in active patent management, one of the toughest areas for innovation. If the load is taken off the industry and the academia through efficient patent management through TLOs, it will go a long way in helping this ecosystem, university academia, industry academia partnership to grow and survive. So this is a very important suggestion that I wanted to make. In West Bengal, we are not Government of India here, so in West Bengal, what can we do? I strongly urge CII to look at this issue and come up with some suggestions that can be implemented. The third way forward is enabling university-industry collaboration through joint research and contract research. In joint research, it could be funded by both. In contract research, of course, the IPR will belong to the university, but the industry which came forward, they will have the first right on that technology. So if you look around, there's not much of joint research or contract research happening. It may be happening, I may not be aware, but as far as I know, mostly it is not happening, or is not happening at a scale which leads us to believe that this is one of the strong interventions that can be done. Fourth one, if you notice in US, in 1980 they passed what is known as the Bayh-Dole Act. Bayh-Dole Act allows patenting and licensing by US universities of inventions based on federally funded research. So research is federally funded. Question is, where does the IPR lie? Who owns the IPR? Is it the government? If government continues to own every IPR, there is not much incentive for the university professors and the scientists to go for patent production. How can we change that? US has already changed that. I'm not saying that we should blindly follow what US has done, because the requirements and the system and the existing ecosystem is different in India. But can we learn from that? Can we encourage, incentivize production of patents in universities for this kind of intervention? I'm leaving it as a thought. Incidentally, in India, this attempt was made in 2008. I'm not going into details here, but that fell flat because of strong criticism. Probably the bill lacked several things which were not done at that time. The fifth suggestion, can we not think of, instead of always thinking about patents in a frugal system, can we not think about utility models as opposed to patenting? Utility models can play a very big role in innovation. 1999, 2002, and 2005. But whenever it was done, these utility models have not been taken forward, have not been thought about. I strongly urge CII here to see whether utility models can play a good role in the innovation ecosystem for SMEs. And last two suggestions are, number one is human resource development for strengthening the innovation ecosystem across the value chain. Value chain from idea to market. So what are these entities? R&D is one. Licensing and technology transfer is another. Management of patents and commercialization of technology. All these areas you have to have continuous enrichment of human resources. And the last suggestion is facilitating access of industry to environment-friendly patents such as WIPO Green. WIPO Green is a good example of how the internationally available patent environment can be made available to industries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tallene. I think he has, as he said, he has come only for 2 months now. But with the ideas that he has, I'm sure IT department will show new ways in the coming months and years. Thank you very much. Before I request Mr. Radhakrishnan to propose a formal vote of thanks, there's one more job. We have CIA has published a book on leveraging innovation for business. So I would request Mr. Tallene Kumar to please launch this. It's friendly, so no paste, no gum, nothing. I think you can keep one to each. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I would request Mr. Radhakrishnan to propose a vote of thanks.